Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Each time I feel that I found Dan Gibson's most stupid argument, he proves me wrong, because I come across a more stupid one. Let's go and watch.
So, Islam was divided between the traditionalists and the reformers. The traditionalists prayed towards Petra in Jordan, and the reformers prayed towards Mecca in Saudi Arabia, and others deliberately choosing a middle path. How were they ever going to solve this dilemma? Petra, the city of weeping, suffered a fatal calamity. Massive earthquakes shook the Petra region, destroying buildings, temples, and houses. The damage was so bad that the city was never rebuilt again.
The evidence for that first Kaaba is gone now. The catapult stones destroyed much of it. Ibn Zubair destroyed the rest. In 713, an earthquake destroyed the dam that diverts the water around Petra. So every year, floodwaters washed away whatever evidence was left.
So, with the memory of Petra fading from view, the chroniclers of Islamic history, writing some 150 years later, would never mention it by name. In time, the memories of these two locations became merged into one, that of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. From now on, all Qiblas would point here. It wasn't until modern archaeological tools, satellite photos, and the internet allowed the networking of historians, academics, and scholars around the world to start piecing together a different picture.
In short, Dan Gibson's argument is as follows. There's nothing strange about Muslims confusing Petra with Mecca for 14th century. It's so simple. An earthquake hit Petra in the mid-8th century. People left Petra, and then Muslim historians writing some 150 years later didn't mention it by name. Eventually, the memories of the two cities, Mecca and Petra, was merged into one. Muslims had forgotten Petra. That's how easy it was. Sounds plausible, doesn't it? Well, yeah, until you start paying careful attention. First of all, there is a very stupid assumption on which this argument is based, which is the idea that a holy city must be full with people in order for Muslims to build their mosques facing it. So what if an earthquake hit Petra? So what if the city was destroyed? If the Kaaba and the Masjid al-Haram existed in Petra, Muslims will face it regardless of what happened to the people who were living there. Because we are not facing the people of the holy city, we are facing the sacred area. However, let's be generous with Dan Gibson and accept his ridiculous reason. For argument's sake, let's pretend that what he said makes perfect sense. There is still a huge problem coming from Dan Gibson's own narrative, which is the parallel mosque. Let's let Dan Gibson explain what parallel mosques are.
Over the years, historians have always been puzzled by these mosques. Their qiblas seem to point towards somewhere in South Africa, but all of the African and Spanish mosques point to slightly different places. It all seems very confusing. However, when plotted on a map, we can see that the mosques of North Africa and Spain all have qiblas that are parallel to a line drawn between Petra and Mecca. So rather than choosing Petra or Mecca, they chose to make their qiblas parallel to a line drawn between the two cities.
Let's think about it. The Umayyads were building mosques facing a qibla that is parallel to a line drawn between Petra and Mecca. In other words, when the people of North Africa wanted to build mosques, they will first check the location of both Petra and Mecca, and then they will make their qibla parallel to a line drawn between the two cities. So based on this, Petra should be the last city that could be forgotten by the Muslims in Africa. Because if Petra was forgotten, they will never be able to get this line. And they were building their mosques for centuries parallel to this line. Do I have any evidence that they were building parallel mosques for centuries? Yes, of course, let's go to Dan Gibson's website, nabateen.net. This is the list of parallel mosques. Check the dates. From 9th century up to 12th century. The latest parallel mosques in Dan Gibson's list was built in the 12th century. The earthquake hit Petra in 748 AD. So from 748 AD to 1196 AD, 4.5 century, Muslims in Africa were building parallel mosques. That's according to Dan Gibson's narrative. They were building parallel mosques. These are mosques that are built facing a Qibla, parallel to a line drawn between Petra and Mecca. So for at least 4.5 centuries, Muslims in Africa remember Petra, if we accepted the parallel mosques narrative. So which one is it? Muslims were building parallel mosques for 4.5 centuries. That means that they remembered Petra. So the next question will be, why didn't they write about it? And if you want to argue that they have forgotten Petra because of the earthquake, then that would mean that your parallel mosque narrative is false. That's how weak and pathetic this hypothesis is. From the next video, inshallah, we will begin addressing the Qibla argument. So fasten your belt. This is going to be epic. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you find the content useful. Thank you so much for watching. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.